If you have been around her long enough, you already know the unsettling part is not what she says, it is what she refuses to say, because there is a specific kind of silence that does not come from indifference. It comes from containment, and containment is what people use when what they feel threatens their control. You have watched her act calm while her eyes hesitate, watched her keep her tone casual while her attention stays locked on details that should not matter. And you have felt that strange tension where everything looks normal on the surface, but something underneath keeps pressing forward as if her nervous system is trying to reach you while her ego is trying to hold the line. When a woman loves you deeply but cannot admit it, she does not behave like a woman who does not care. She behaves like a woman managing an internal conflict. And the conflict is simple. Her heart moves toward you, her ego moves toward safety, and safety for the ego means never giving another person enough certainty to hurt her. That is why the signs are rarely loud, and that is why most men miss them, because men are trained to look for direct pursuit, direct praise, direct confession, and female attachment often speaks through regulation, not through performance. The first sign is not romance, it is memory. And it is the kind of memory that feels almost invasive because it makes you realize she has been paying attention when you assumed you were only filling time. She recalls small things you said without emphasis. The name of a place you visited once, the way you take your coffee, the frustration you mentioned in passing, and she brings it back at a moment that proves it stayed with her. This is not simply intelligence or politeness, it is prioritization because the brain does not store neutral data with emotional weight unless the person has become emotionally relevant, and emotional relevance is the beginning of attachment. Her ego will downplay it. She will act as if it is nothing, because admitting she has been tracking you means admitting you have occupied space in her inner world, and that admission makes her feel exposed. The second sign is conflict that seems disproportionate, not because she is unstable, but because she is measuring you. When someone has been disappointed before, they stop trusting words and start trusting reactions, because reactions are harder to fake over time. So she will sometimes press on something small, your timing, your tone, your lack of follow-up, and it looks irrational until you understand what she is actually testing. Can you stay regulated when she is not at her best? Can you hold your center when she applies pressure? Can you remain respectful without becoming submissive or explosive? If she did not care, she would not bother collecting that data. She would simply detach. Because detachment is easy when there is no emotional investment. The third sign is the split between public and private, where in public she keeps distance, stays neutral, sometimes even acts colder than the situation calls for, and in private she softens, leans in, opens up, relaxes into a warmer rhythm with you. Most men interpret public distance as rejection, but ego-based protection loves public distance because it maintains plausible deniability. If she is affectionate in front of others, it becomes real, it becomes visible, and visibility creates vulnerability. Vulnerability means you could reject her, misunderstand her, or take her softness for granted, and her ego would rather look indifferent than risk looking foolish. So she saves warmth for the places where her nervous system feels safest. And ironically, that often means she is most honest when no one is watching. The fourth sign is jealousy without ownership, which sounds like a contradiction until you understand that jealousy is not always about control. It is often about fear of loss without the right to claim. She will ask questions that sound casual but carry a sharper edge. Who is she? How do you know her? Do you see her often? And she will deny jealousy instantly if you name it, because naming it forces her to admit she cares. The denial is not always deception, it is self-preservation. Admitting jealousy is admitting attachment, and attachment means you matter enough to hurt her, and her ego cannot tolerate that exposure. But her body gives it away. A change in energy, a slightly tighter tone, a shortened patience, a subtle need to re-establish her place in your attention. The fifth sign is her refusal to fully disappear even after tension. You will notice that the connection does not end cleanly. There may be distance, there may be silence, there may be periods of coolness, but the thread remains, and she returns, not always dramatically. sometimes with a small message, a casual check-in, a reason to re-enter your orbit. People who feel nothing do not re-enter. They move on because there is no internal pull. The returning is not weakness, it is gravity. And gravity is created by emotional attachment, even when ego insists on pretending it is not there. The sixth sign is the way she challenges you, and you may experience it as criticism until you listen to what is underneath it. When a woman loves you but is afraid of her own love, she may push you toward a stronger version of yourself because it reduces her fear. If you become more disciplined, more grounded, more purposeful, then loving you feels safer because she is not attaching to a man who drifts. Her ego frames the pushing as standards because standards feel controlled, but the emotional truth is investment. People do not invest energy into shaping a man they do not care about. Indifference lets you stay the same. Attachment wants you to rise, partly because she believes in you, and partly because her nervous system needs proof that closeness to you will not become chaos. The seventh sign is silent attention in the digital world, the kind of attention that does not announce itself. She watches your stories quickly but rarely reacts. She knows details she should not know unless she has been observing. She mentions a place you went, a mood you posted, a line you shared, and she delivers it as if it is coincidence. This is ego again. Public engagement would make her interest visible, and visibility is risk, but private watching allows her to stay connected while protecting her pride. The eighth sign is that her friends seem to know you before they meet you. They bring up details you never told them. They treat you with familiarity that feels premature. This happens because women often process emotional confusion through conversation with trusted people. If she is hiding feelings from you, she will often leak them sideways into her friendships, where it feels safer to explore what she cannot own directly. Her ego will minimize you to you, but her mind will not stop circling you in spaces where she can be honest without consequence. The ninth sign is an energy calibration pattern that repeats over time. When you pull back slightly, she reaches out. When you get busy, she suddenly finds space. When you become less available, she becomes more attentive, not dramatically, but enough that you feel the shift. This is not random timing, it is regulation. Her nervous system is tracking the distance between you and adjusting to maintain connection without chasing openly. Ego does not want to appear eager, but attachment does not want to lose the bond, so it creates subtle movements that keep the door open while preserving her image. The 10th sign is the hardest one because it keeps many men trapped in confusion, and confusion is where ego feels safest and where immature men become reactive. She holds you in a limbo zone, close enough to feel you, far enough to deny you. She acts invested but avoids definition. She gives warmth but resists commitment. This is not always cruelty. It is often fear, because definition increases stakes. If she admits you matter, then losing you would hurt more, and her ego is designed to prevent pain by preventing full admission. Many men respond to this by pressing for certainty, demanding clarity, forcing labels, trying to break her defenses with words, and that is exactly how they lose her, because pressure does not create safety, pressure confirms threat. The mature response is not to chase and not to punish. It is to stay consistent in your behavior while staying loyal to your own boundaries. Consistency tells her nervous system that closeness does not create instability. Boundaries tell her ego that you respect yourself and you do not need her confusion to define your worth. This is where power dynamics become real. Power is not making her confess. Power is self-regulation in the presence of uncertainty. If she senses that your mood rises and falls based on her attention, she will feel the weight of your need, and need is what her ego is terrified of carrying. But if she senses you can hold warmth without clinging, that you can enjoy her without trying to own her, that you can remain calm even when her signals are mixed, she will slowly relax because relaxation is what attachment requires. Attraction is not created by convincing her. It is created by becoming a place where her nervous system can breathe. Do not confuse this with passivity. Passivity is avoiding risk because you fear rejection. Emotional steadiness is different. Emotional steadiness is being willing to be present without demanding immediate outcome. It is the ability to let time reveal truth. Over time, love that is real becomes harder to hide because it leaks through behavior, and ego that is exhausted eventually stops fighting when safety is proven. But your job is not to wait forever and call it loyalty. Your job is to remain aligned. If she continues to pull you close and keep you distant, you do not argue with her confusion. You simply notice it. You let her actions teach you what her capacity is. You do not interpret her fear as a promise. You do not build fantasies from fragments. You observe the pattern. If her pattern is moving toward openness, you will feel it in the way she becomes more direct, more stable, more willing to be seen. If her pattern is stagnant, you will feel it in the way the limbo never changes. Your peace must not depend on extracting certainty from her. The most dangerous mistake men make is turning a woman's guardedness into a challenge that they must win, because that transforms love into ego combat, and ego combat destroys intimacy. The deeper truth is that her ego is not your enemy. It is her armor. Armor exists because at some point she learned that softness could be punished. When she is hiding love, she is not demonstrating strength, she is demonstrating fear. Fear does not need to be chased. Fear needs to be met with a man who is solid enough not to become reactive and self-respecting enough not to become trapped. If you want to move through this dynamic with dignity, stop trying to read her feelings as a scoreboard about your value. Her behavior is not a referendum on your worth, it is a window into her inner safety. And your response is not to persuade her into courage. Your response is to embody your own. Courage here is quiet. It is staying present without desperation. It is allowing space without resentment. It is speaking when you choose rather than when anxiety demands it. And it is remembering that a man who knows himself does not beg to be chosen. If she loves you, time and consistency will reveal it without you having to force it. If she does not, forcing will only create a false closeness that collapses later. The real win is not getting her to admit anything. The real win is becoming the kind of man who does not lose himself inside someone else's fear. Because when you can sit in uncertainty without flinching, you stop needing signs to feel secure. And that internal security changes the way every woman experiences you, not because you became colder, but because you became whole.